we're gonna speak about psychedelics. So going from chaos to clarity in 90 minutes. You got me intrigued.
But if you really, truly don't want to be stuck in the life you have and you're ready to move into new territory.
How did psychedelics help you?
When life is creeping up, we shop more, we eat more, we drink more, we spend more, we do all the wrong things more. You know, getting stressed up at work, I was like, we compare our life and our situation to whatever somebody else. But what helps make a difference is psychedelics, because it helps you get your answer. You get closer to you. You find out what is important to you. You explain love. It's a shitty representation. People know maybe what the issue is, figure it out. You come at it from a different angle. Be like, oh, I've always looked from here, but now I'm coming from, okay, so I can look at it this way. They say psychedelics gives you what you need, not what you want, and I needed to have that.
Jani, stoked to have you here today. We're gonna speak about psychedelics. And my first question is, what do you do and why do you do it?
I help individuals go from chaos to clarity in 90 minutes and teams to do it in 3 hours using 5 steps. And the reason why I do it is because I was tired of seeing what was out there and I realized we needed a fresh take on things.
So going from chaos to clarity in 90 minutes, you got me intrigued. Tell me more. How the hell do you do that?
Well, I mean, obviously, like any progress, it means they have to go some new place. Like you need to be like radically honest and transparent with me for that to work. I mean, if you come into the session and be like, this shit's not going to work, well, of course it won't work. But if you really, truly don't want to be stuck in the life you have and you're ready to move into new territory, then let's do it together. And that's what I do. I provide the space for new, safe exploration. And I don't know about you, but most of the people that I've talked about and talked to in my life, it's been like, yeah, I haven't really felt that. I haven't really felt that they're right there, you know? So basically, like any of us, we teach what we need, you know? We provide what we feel is missing, and I'm sure you're doing the same thing. So,
yeah, 100%. So we are going to talk about psychedelics and the work you do. But can you tell me first about what broke you and how did psychedelics help you put yourself back together?
Dive in the deep end right away. Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's go to the deep end of the pool.
Yeah. Well, like, I guess a lot of men try to solve all my life's problems with my head. I knew I had issues from growing up, and I knew there was stuff bothering me, but I didn't really know how to fix it because I didn't have the right people around me. I didn't have the right, I don't know. I was just frustrated because I couldn't find the answers that I needed. So I was like instead of trying to figure out how to listen in, I tried to just go all in on trying to figure theories, concepts, ideas. How can I, with the mind trying to solve it, when in actual fact, obviously that wasn't the problem. It was the emotions. But it was coming to a head. I was doing things more, like most of us do. Like when life is creeping up, we do, okay, we shop more, we eat more, we drink more, we spend more, we do all the wrong things more. And I was, getting stressed up at work. I was like, yeah, I was just not feeling great, and starting to there's no such thing as belly breaths, like, and like every day was just like the same chaos, right? And I was like, something has to give, and so I'm a competitive, like I'm a sports person. I like to win, and so I never tried meditation because I couldn't win at meditation at that time. I tried it and I sucked at it. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do this, But at that point, I was like, okay, I need to. This is like 10 years ago, so I'm like, okay, I just got to do it. I mean, thousands of years of wisdom. There's got to be something there. So I started that, and that changed my life.
But what was the tipping point?
Just everything coming to a head. Everything just like, I couldn't solve it. I was like so frustrated because I didn't, like, with my mind, I was like, I had all the problems. I tried to solve it, but I couldn't get to what was actually the issue. And then I went to Vipassana retreat. I know you've been to Vipassana retreat. I went to a 10-day Vipassana retreat. That was the hardest thing I ever did. It was awesome. And then I bumped into another person who said, at that point, it's like when we started talking about my frustration, she said, sounds like you're ready to break through. Have you heard of psychedelics? I'm like, yes. Where can I go? What do I do? And then she gave me a website, and Bob's your uncle, like they say. So that was like, I had to go there. And when I did, that was the turning point.
So please go in deeper into your first experience with psychedelics.
Well, my very first one didn't change a whole lot because that was an ayahuasca retreat in Holland. And it didn't work because I was so amped up and I had such high expectations. I was like, I'm going to talk to the death and discover the universe. And I was like, I had all these, which you're not supposed to have, right? You're just supposed to surrender and just be open to whatever comes. I was like, so I had completely the wrong mindset, which is very common, especially with people who are like fed up with life. It's hard to not have expectations when you pay, I don't know, $2,000 to go to a retreat. And then it's like, okay, I'm not going to have any expectations whatsoever. Like, it's really hard. And I didn't know how to not have it. So nothing happened on that trip. I drank the ayahuasca, I kept it. It's like, nothing happened because I was so, tightly wound up, Oh, but they say psychedelics gives you what you need, not what you want. And I needed to have that, that slap saying, okay, don't think you can control this because it's, stop it. Stop trying to do the psychedelic for what you're trying to do to your life. It's not going to work. So then my second experience, that's when something happened. That's when I got I was with psilocybin. And yeah, that was amazing. It's hard you can't describe it, but basically I took it on Saturday and then I divorced on Monday. So that's what happened.
So can you just like explain what these different psychedelic substances is? You said ayahuasca and now psilocybin.
Yeah, there's typically like four main ones we talk about, like psilocybin, EMT, which is like the active ingredient in ayahuasca, and then mescaline and LSD. And then some people also bring in the cousin, like MDMA. It's not a true psychedelic, but it's used as in therapeutic settings.
Yeah, and can you explain a little bit about each?
So psilocybin is like mushrooms basically, and then ayahuasca is like that brew that you hear people like the hardcore mother that people go to the Amazon to drink.
I just hear people puking from it. Are you supposed to puke?
Yeah.
Is that like part of the process?
Yeah, it's purging. It goes so deep. It goes into basically it's like it turns you inside out, and so it helps you get out. And there's different kinds of purging. There's like many different medicines that help you purge in different ways. But yeah, typically you throw up and then you need to go poop.
So purge means puking, no? Or
Now,
it
purge
just
can
like,
be like
means that you're getting all the shit out of you?
Yeah, purge can mean whatever. It can be like for example, the first time I took mushrooms, I yawned the whole time. I was yawning because there's a lot of tension. That's one way of purging. Some people stretch their muscles. Some people there's all kinds of different. It's a release basically of pent up energy, pent up frustration, and pent up trauma, whatever it is you're carrying around, like basically. So this is the way to loosen it up and get rid of it. That's a brief explanation of purging.
Yeah.
So that's the psilocybin, ayahuasca, and then mescaline. I have never tried. I don't know. It's like peyote and cactus.
All right. And what does it do to you?
It's hard for me to speak from it since I don't know it myself. But
yeah, what have you heard?
Well, I mean, I've heard it's fantastic. I've heard it's amazing, and people meet God and all these things. And it's like, but then again, I think this is my whole thing about psychedelics in general. Like, people will say, just like with anything in life, people will say anything and everything, and it's like, and so the whole thing is to make up your own experience about it. Like, because you can hear this thing and then you start thinking this is what it's going to be like, and then you do it and it's like, oh, it was nothing like that. Why didn't I get the experience? And we start comparing, and then we're off to the races. The same problem in life in general. Like we compare our life and our situation to whatever somebody else did. It's like, no, it's your experience. It's like, if you see God or if you see a tomato, like, who cares? Like, it's the thing that you needed to see, basically, right? So I've heard all kinds of things, but yeah, it's. I mean, all of them can do wonders for you. So it's basically just like whatever comes to you. You usually say like, okay, when a medicine calls to you or talks to you and speaks to you, then that's the one for you. So, and then there's LSD, which is I guess everybody has heard of it, like the hippie stuff from the 60s.
Yeah, but I bet that like you're also in your 40s and grew up with that LSD was this really horrible drug that made people jump out of their windows. Maybe you remember though that what we would call that propaganda, or if it was in the news, I can't remember. But I was scared to death from drugs. So I never taken a drug in my whole life because of like the scarcity propaganda from when I was younger. And then starting like since I think 7 years ago, started reading and watching documentaries about using psychedelics as a therapy. That got me like really intrigued, and now I'm not that like anti-drugs. I view it more as a medicine, but still I haven't done it. But I'm super curious, and that's why we're having this conversation. So what are the most common misbeliefs or lies that people believe about psychedelics and healing?
Okay, but before we visit that question, there's one thing
Yeah.
like this, because there's drugs and there's drugs.
All right.
There's drugs that make you escape. And this is my take on it. It's not like a scientific paper with whatever. I just like
We're here for your take.
yeah. So there's like drugs where you escape your life, like do cocaine and do the ecstasy, and you do like you basically just want to take me out of my life. Just give me some peace for a moment, right? And then there's the psychedelics, which helps you go into your life. Like it helps you actually it helps you heal in a different way. So it's like fleeing curiosity.
I love that perspective.
Yeah, because it's like, and most people bunch everything together. I mean, we live in Sweden. Like in Sweden, if you smoke a joint, you might as well be a heroin addict under a bridge. It's all the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's all the same. When it's like,
so true.
yeah. And so it's like, okay, no, but so that's the first distinction I would say. Like, okay, just like with anything, what's the intention behind it? Why are you using the drug? Or do you hate your life and want to escape? Okay, then that tells you something. But if you're curious and want to get to better answers, like you're like, what is going on really? Like, why am I running away? Then psychedelics can be amazing. And I think this is the thing that, this is like one of those amazing people from back in the 60s, 70s, Terence McKenna. He had a good quote about, he's like, I'm going to hash the quote, but he said something like, it's not a well-intentioned government that tries to keep you from jumping out of a third-story window with this propaganda about scary. It's like your brain on acid is like frying an egg and all this stuff. It's like, that's not an intention. It's because they can't control it. Because once you start asking better questions, you start checking out. You'll be like, wait a minute, what's going on with the establishment? Fuck the Matrix. What's going on? So big pharma is behind it. Like, without getting into conspiracy theories, like, okay, it's like the government and big pharma and all these things. Like it's like all this scare propaganda help people or try to get people to not use it because it's better to keep people in the dark, so to speak.
Yeah. And one thing about conspiracy theories, if you don't believe in any conspiracy theory, this is not the podcast for you. You should stop listening and you're completely fucked. you're just a bot in the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So exactly. So okay. So okay. Your crowd knows this. So the Matrix then is like, okay. So this if there's something that helps you check out of the Matrix is not going to like it, right? So they'll say all kinds of propaganda, all kinds of shit, right? So and that's what we heard. That's what we grew up hearing. That's what we like. Ooh, say no to drugs. Oh no, like, right? And I've been the same way until I started asking, like, okay, but what's the like? I'm not going to say no to things before I try them. Okay, what is it? Then I can say, oh, it's not good. So I tried cocaine. Okay, I was like, okay, that was cool, but I saw it was all fake and it was all just like, no, it's an escape, right? It doesn't help me get deep progress. So then I was like, no, that's useless, right? So then, but what helps make a difference is psychedelics because it helps you get your answer. And this is what I love about psychedelics is that instead of getting other people's answers, like instead of listening to what other people say or you should do this, you should do that, you get closer to you. You find out what is important to you. You get a chance to redefine what success, happiness, and whatever means to you. You know what I mean? So how is that a bad thing? Like how is that a bad thing? That you forget everybody else, just find out what you find important and why you find that important and how you can go about getting it. So I'm like, to me, that's like a no-brainer. And I always refer to this like the top regret of the dying. This nurse, Bronnie Ware, talked about, like, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others wished for me.
That could take a lifetime to uncover.
For sure. But it's like, wouldn't you rather do that hard hike up that mountain instead of doing that hard hike down the toilet or the valley or whatever the shit, At least it's your journey. At least it's your hike. You know what I mean? You might not get where you want to go or whatever, but at least you're true to yourself. You're listening to yourself. So whatever it takes to untangle all the sticky shit that the Matrix has got you trapped in, like whether it's just like, oh, I can feel the relief of releasing one of those tentacles and then another one. It's like, okay, so you're in the process. And that's sometimes enough to get you, because you start forgetting about the goal. You start thinking about, hey, the journey is, I'm starting to enjoy the journey. I've heard the journey as a goal thing my whole life, but I didn't know what the fuck it meant. But now I do. It's like, okay. You design your own life,
Yes, so interesting. And I think you mentioned Gabor Matea when we spoke like the first time. And I got like really intrigued because I followed him for a long time, read a couple of his books. The Myth of Normal is I think like everybody working with in the health profession, whether it's psychologists or whatever has to do with keeping people healthy, they should read The Myth of Normal with Gabor Mate.
Definitely.
Phenomenal book.
100%.
And when I saw, and that came a little bit like a shock when he said that he uses psilocybin in therapy sessions. I was like, now I'm really intrigued. Now I know there's something, there's potential here. So would you say that you work mostly with psilocybin, or could you speak about like, or let's back up, because I got a little bit not confused, but you said something about you when you did your first ayahuasca, you were like trying to achieve something, but you realized that you needed to just be and not to like have any expectations. But I think that is like super hard, because I'm coming maybe to you for a therapy session because I have some pain that I'm dealing with, or I feel that I'm not seeing myself clearly. The matrix has me and I want Neo to pull me out. I need Morpheus to give me the red pill. So what's the balance there between just like letting go and letting like the medicine have its course, and me coming to you with an intention or with an issue I deeply want to solve?
Okay, so this is a really good question, because it's like, it kind of goes into the heart of the actual process. Like, okay, when somebody comes to me, right, you have an idea of what the problem is. Or if I work with a team, the manager has an idea of what the problem is. Right? It's like, okay, talk to me about it. Okay. And then after we talk about what the thing is, it's like, okay, but all right. So if we look at it this way, whatever you're coming to me, you want to fix something, right? Let's picture this like a garden. You think that if I just get a nice garden, my life will be amazing. So I put some flowers over there, I put a little bench over there, and I put a little umbrella there. I was like, this is going to be it. And I'm like, okay, but what do you hope to achieve with this? Like, what is it? Then I'm going to feel this and I'm going to feel that. Okay, but where does this come from? And the more we dig, it turns out like, okay, yes, you're in the garden fixing things, but did you also realize your house is on fire? You know what I mean? So like, we look for answers like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to get this new car. I'm going to get this new job. I'm going to get this new partner. I'm going to fix this. If I just get the money, if I just go on this trip, whatever the thing you tell yourself is usually, or if it's a manager with a team, we got to do this and we're going to hit that target. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, but why doesn't the team want to help you do this? Because you haven't acknowledged the fact that there's that like the team's house is on fire or your house is on fire. So let's first put out the fire. Like, let's first do these things, because there's like life's chaos these days for all of us, right? So it's like, okay, so how do we handle life situations to make space for you to sit in silence, basically, right? Because right now life is like this for everybody, right? So first of all, let's look at the things that you can control, and then we like make the space. And instead of being like the masculine energy, which we all like, you know, in the Western world, we all go to get the answers. We all go like, we'll figure that out. We're going to blah, 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 and that's great. Quickly answer this question. Let's go. But in the process that I work with, it's like more like, okay, but are we even asking the right question? Like, wait a second. So people might come to me and say, okay, this is the problem. And it turns out, okay, but the actual problem is that you are not hearing yourself. So how do we make that happen? It's like, oh, can I? It's like, yeah, absolutely we can do. Like, there's no other way to your happiness than to see and hear you. You know what I mean? So it's like, so when people come to the process with an idea, then I kind of untangle, like, what's the actual issue? Is it like a spiritual, existential question? Or is it like some trauma that's stuck from like when you were little, which is no spoiler alert. It's like, it's over here. So, you know, I like the book, The Myth of Normal. He talks about like any trauma, like anything, physical ailments, mental ailments, whatever it is. Where does it come from? What is the unsolved thing that you need to attend to? What's the fire burning somewhere that you haven't looked at? And the whole book is just an example of what happens when you don't look at that. When you try to do everything else and try to be like a people pleaser, or try to be, you know, like, it's like whatever you're doing out there in the garden is useless, because you need to first put out the fire, you know? So like, it's never about the thing. You know what I mean? Like when you argue with your wife about the dishwasher, it's not about the dishwasher, you know? It's like, so what's the real issue?
So psilocybin is a way to deal with the real issue. Like, how do I know that I need to, like, this is not the right question I'm thinking about. I want to know, how do I know that this is the right way for me? to do a psychedelic healing session?
I might be biased here because obviously I'm eternally grateful for what psychedelics did for me, right? And I'm not just
Of
talking about
course.
psilocybin, but I'm talking about like psychedelics in general. But I would say that everybody would benefit from doing psychedelics, no matter where you are. You don't have to be on the verge of suicide or depressed or like, but like let's say it's the scale from -20 to +20, and the zero is in the middle. If you're at 0, -20, and this is again not science, but I'm saying like if you're at -20, it might take you to -15. That's a huge improvement for somebody who's down and out, right? If you're at -5, it might take you to 0 or +5. If you're at 2, it might take you to 10. Because whatever it is, you hear yourself better. You find a way to hear yourself better. But very important to say, it's important that it's a process. And this is what a lot of the psychedelic world doesn't get into. Like you go to retreats, you don't get the proper preparation, you don't get the proper follow-up. Like you have a one-off amazing experience, but then you don't have a context to plug it into. Which means that if you just do it and like, wow, it was amazing, but if you don't actually change things, not everybody has to get divorced 2 days later, but I'm like, just do something, right? What are you going to start doing? What are you going to stop doing to make sure your life is never the same? The more you actually act on what comes up, the more healing and the less you will backtrack and fall into old ways. So the process is huge. It's important. So to anyone out there looking for a psychedelic retreat anywhere in the world, see if you can find it really, really good structured process where they see and hear you and don't just treat you like a cash cow. There's like, hey, come to us, here, take it. Because there's a lot of that going on, right? As I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you, like, what are some things to look out for in a good practitioner that can facilitate a great psychedelic experience compared to the ones that you should watch out for?
I would
Because
say
I
it's
think
exactly.
this has been my biggest question, because I've felt for many years that it has been calling on me. It has just come, like, my interest has grown. I've read books about it. Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind, is fantastic. Gabor Maté, so many documentaries and books about the subject. Tim Ferriss is a great spokesperson, but he also brings great warning flags. So not to do it just like with anyone. So how do you spot a great facilitator or a therapist, and what do you watch out for?
How do you spot a good friend? What does a good friend do to you?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
My best friends, they call me, they follow up, they help me out. I feel good around them. I feel safe. I can share my struggles, what I'm going through. Did I miss
No,
anything?
I don't know what makes you think you're good friends, but you know better. But my point is, they don't make it about themselves. They make it
Yeah.
about you. So if you talk to somebody, you're going to a retreat and you talk to somebody, you feel like you're not really seen and heard. You're like you know, because quality requires presence. So if you're not present, and presence means that you can be there and just be there for them. Let them talk, let them be there for you, and you know, and let them just explore whatever they need to explore. If you feel like you're being treated like one in a, just like one in a machine. Okay, here, come here, do this, let's go. And if you're not there, and they try to rush you, they don't give you the time. They don't let you just say whatever's in you, right? Then you can be like, okay, but why is it such a, like, what's the rush? Like this is I'm about to do the most meaningful thing in my whole life, and you're trying to treat it like it's like a shopping at the store. Like come on, you know, this is so to realize, if they can realize that this is so special for you, not to forget that you're about to do something that's amazing. Like this is huge for you, right? This is your mental well-being. This is your life. This is like, you know, and so if they make that space for you and you feel comfortable, safe, and held, perfect, you know? So, and is there a good process beforehand? Do they do a proper screening? Like, will they ask you all kinds of questions? And most places do these days, because they know that you're supposed to ask these questions that have the, basically to cover their own ass for any liabilities. But at the same time, do you get that personal, do you get that feeling of being seen and heard? You know, when you go to a great restaurant, have a great server, like they see and hear you, like, you know, they don't just know the wines on the wine list and what's in the ingredients. The thing that makes it special for you is like, shit, you're right there. You know what I mean? So like that kind of feeling, are they there for you or for themselves? And that's what I mean. Like, that's what I look for in friends. Like they will be there to hear you and see you. And that's all we really want. Every single human being on the planet just wants to be seen and heard and know that they're okay just the way they are. That's it. And get a hug. So
what have you seen that are red flags? What do you see out there that is starting to go out of control?
Like somebody when people know everything. Like okay, this is like the curse of the expert. Like okay, when you know, okay, this is what you got to do, or they try to like they've just been recently they had a hallelujah moment, or they know that they're onto something, like they're dealing with something, and then they think that I have all the answers, and there's like a spiritual ego that creeps in, like what's the reason you're doing this? Are you just there to hold the space and let people be, or are you there for like I always get wary when I see all the get-ups, like the bracelets and the necklaces and the hair and like all these twinkles and all, like I'm like,
don't forget the hat also,
yeah,
the big hat.
yeah, the hat and like the feathers and like, so I'm
Yeah,
not saying
drums.
yeah, all the things, like when it becomes about that, like when it becomes about the bells and whistles instead of the actual thing you're doing, then for me that's like, okay. What are their qualifications? Like what do they know? Like I studied psychology at university, and like I was going to be like I was like, yeah, psychology is awesome. But then I was like, I'm also pretty quick. So I was like, shit, I don't have the patience for this. So I started working with psychology and learning development, all that stuff. And then psychedelics came on the market. I'm like, it's powerful stuff.
Yeah. When people come to you for the first time and they probably read books, they've heard about it, or somebody said that you should go and try psychedelics therapy and go to Jani, what are the most common questions they ask when it's their first time?
It's different flavors of the same thing, I would say. But it's like not being, first of all, feeling that they're weird.
How do you mean?
Meaning like some version of it, I got to be crazy because I feel this and this and this. And what I mean is like,
do you mean like during the session?
No. I'm talking about like.
No, I'm asking like before they come to you when you were having
the screening calls,
the screening calls.
Yeah.
What are the questions?
Well, it's mental health issues always. Majority of, but like 8 out of 10 times it's okay. I'm struggling with depression. I'm struggling with anxiety. I'm struggling with emotional issues. I'm struggling with like, where's my place in life? Like, how do I fit in? I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel it's not for me. I feel like I'm weird. I feel like I'm different, and that's what I kind of like what I meant with like people feel crazy, people feel weird.
All right.
And I can't remember who said it, but it's such a brilliant thing. It's like, okay, you're having the fact that you're feeling bad, it's a sign of, it's a good sign. You're having a, you're having a healthy response. You have a healthy response to an unhealthy world. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so when they hear that, I'm like, okay, tell me more. And they talk about it. I was like, no, that's not crazy at all. You're starting to think like, can it really be it? Like I wake up and go to work and come back and wash, rinse, repeat for the rest of my life, and then I retire and then I die. It's like, is that what it's meant to be? It's like, no. Okay. So, okay. And then it's like, okay, so this and this and this. I'm like, yeah, bring it. And then tell me about your background and tell me about the way growing up. Like, okay, with those parents and with that, of course. Is it strange that you feel the way you feel? I would feel nothing is weird. And that's the whole thing, that people would be like, oh, so it's okay to feel the way I feel? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So more of that. Tell me more. And they're like, oh, nobody asked me this. I'm like, no, but fuck, who gives a shit? Let's go. And then we talk, and then they just like feel like it's open up and be like, obviously it takes different time depending on what your baggage is, but the relief is like almost palpable. Like you can be like, oh, so I can say this? This is okay? It's like, yeah, why wouldn't it be okay? The thing you've been shoving away is the thing that tries to come back, and you know what I mean? So let's turn towards it instead of running away from it. So like Gabor Mate says, don't follow the addiction, follow the pain. Yeah. So alcohol, whatever thing that alcohol, drugs, shopping, sex, whatever you go into, that's not the problem. That's the solution. Whatever's causing you to want that, that's the problem.
Yeah. And can we go to like dealing with pain?
Go wherever you want to go, man. I'll follow you.
So, and I'll follow you as well. So during the session, or during like, what do you call it? Do you call it a session or a ceremony?
Yeah.
Or
no, I call it session. Had I been with the feathers and hats, I might call it ceremony, but I'm like, for me, it's a session.
All right. So it's a therapy session. So during the session, is it always like that you will face some form of pain?
Nope, not at all. Out of all the sessions I've had, there's never been a, like what we call a bad trip.
All
right?
right.
And I would credit that to the rigorous process that I go through, the screening, the preparation, like if this happens, then we do this. If this happens, then we do that. If this happens, then we do that. If this happens, then we do that. Like sometimes I refer back to like when I did the parachute jumping in the Swedish military. There's like 10 hours of a class, and I think 9 hours was like what we do when it goes to hell, and when 1 hour is like pull the thing, like, you know, it's like, so it's basically that, like, we spend so much time trying to focus on like what to make people feel comfortable, to be like, okay, if this happens, then we do this. It's like whatever happens, we handle it together, and that's important, right? And so that you feel safe, because then if you feel safe, you won't have all this tension going into the process. That I feel like helps people not have a bad trip. And it's like also we have set an intention. I don't know if you know how it works, but you set an intention before the trip to be like what are we actually looking for? Like, are we looking for, what are we curious about? Like, what would you be curious to find out? And so that's the intention. And then however the trip happens to you will be interpreted under that umbrella. And an intention is different from an expectation. An expectation is what I had when I went to the Netherlands. I'm going to talk to death, because I had death anxiety, and I was like, I'm going to fucking talk to death, to Grim Reaper. You know, that's it. It's like nothing happened, because I was trying to take control of the situation, thinking that I had all the answers. I'm so fucking smart, blah, blah, blah. Right. And then it doesn't happen. But let's say I had the intention of like, I'm curious to explore the concept of death, or like, what's my next step to try to figure out, to learn more about it, or some humble approach like that. Then there's a greater chance that I would experience something, because I'm not putting myself in the driver's seat trying to fix everything and trying to solve everything and being the man. So they're different what people have experienced.
Yeah, and what are some common intentions that you hear people set?
Since we're usually tired of doing something, right? Since we're usually fed up with ourselves for doing something a certain way, it can be like, okay, help me see how I can drop what no longer serves me. Help me see what I can do that's blocking me from loving myself, or help me see what steps I need to take to move forward in my life, or like, it can be some version of those things, but it's usually clarity on some area, and it depends on what people, you know, like, it could be like issues from my father did this to me when I was young, like, how can I forgive him? Like, what do I need to see to forgive? And it can be many different things, and I was like, so. And then obviously important to that is to always say, like, okay, so what you think your experience will be like, forget it. Like, try to not compare to what you've heard. Sometimes I say the more research you do, the worse it is, because then people are like, okay, this is what it's going to be like. And then they take it, it's like, oh, but it was, and then they're lying in the trip, comparing to the things that they've expected to see. And then instead of just like letting go and going for the roller coaster ride.
Yeah. So can you also go into a session like that, okay, I don't know what the intention is. I just want like the deeper part of me to speak with me.
Absolutely. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, so I'd say the difference is, though, it's like, are you doing it just to have a wonderful experience, to check out another dimension? Then do it. But if it's healing,
yeah, you know the scene in The Matrix where Morpheus tells Neo that you felt that there's something wrong with the world. It's like a splinter in your mind. You don't know what it is, but you feel it and you know it's there. So if you come and you just like know it, but I can't put my finger on it, can I just go to a session and maybe that splinter in my mind will reveal itself, or I will start seeing, okay, we're actually living in a matrix. Okay, this is a metaphor, guys. I know, because some people like really believe that we are living in a simulation. So I'm just like saying it's a metaphor. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, when I refer to the matrix, I just mean like the thing you're taught to believe in when you go to school. Like you have one idea of the world and you're amazing, and then you go to school and you get fucked up, and then you plug into the matrix and you start doing all the things and all the fear-based decisions, and you start doing this because of that and this because of that. So that's what I talk about when I talk about the matrix. But it's like, the point is, like, as a human being, you have to exist in the matrix. Like it's not an option. Like, you have to pay bills and eat food. Like, that's just so. But you don't have to only identify with your role in the matrix. And so, to answer your question, it's like, okay, so if you have a sneaky suspicion that I'm not only the mask I'm wearing in the matrix, there could be something else, right? I would say it's, if you don't have expectations like I did, and if you just surrender to the moment, you will get clarity. You'll be like, okay, all right. You will never unsee what you saw. I can sometimes compare to the, like, I have this funny, this image in my head. Like, okay, imagine you're the first fish back in the first fish that sticks up his head above the water surface. You know, like this there had to be one fish at some point who was first. He's like, he's been swimming around in the water his whole life, right? And then, okay. And I'm not an evolutionary biology expert, so I don't know how that is, but I like that. But he's like, he sticks up his head and he's like, what? 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 And then he goes back to his friends and they're like, guys, do you know what happened? It's like, what are you talking about, man? It's like, so that's kind of how it is. You have to experience it yourself. You have to like stick your head above the surface and be like, what the hell? And this is the magical experience that people come back and report. Oh my God, I've been swimming around in the water my whole life thinking that I didn't even know water was water. Because how do you know Because it's like, you know, and then he's like,
yeah,
I breathe, take a breath. What? And this shift here, you can never unsee that. Right. And then it's like, okay, so now what do? Do you continue to go up on land, or do you crawl up and blah, blah, whatever, right? But that can't be unseen. And now you've opened up a hole. That little crack you talked about is wider. And now it's like, okay, okay. Right? And this is when people go and tell everybody, guys, you know, you got to do this. Because they're, you know, it's a new reality that's opened up. So
that's interesting when you said, like, when you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So what is the permanent effect from doing a session?
It's like, let's say you walk around in the streets and you that's all you know. And then suddenly you go in a hot air balloon and you see the same streets. And you'd be like, oh my God, it's like that street goes there and this, that, and okay, what the fuck? Like, and then you go down to the street level again. That feeling, first of all, that you know that you can go and have a different perspective on life. And the fact that, wait a minute, so I could, in theory, on the other side of the building, there's like, I don't have to go through the building. And there's a whole different, you see what I'm saying? Like if you were to go up in that balloon and then you come back down, the thing you just saw, you can't unsee that because it's been open, your mind's been opened up to be like, wait, so I can approach life differently. Yes, you'll be walking around the streets still, but the experience you had is now like, okay, but there's so much potential. Can I go even higher than the balloon? Can I, what? You know, like the questions are endless, right? And so Sam Harris, I think it was that explained it once in, like, it's like, if you take, let's say you're a gymnast. I like this metaphor because it's pretty good. It's like, let's say you're a gymnast. I'll be a gymnast, whatever. And then you take psilocybin. It's like you enter the body of an Olympian gymnast and you get to feel what it's like to be like at that level. And then you go back to your own life. But that feeling, now that you just busted through all the glass ceilings that you thought were like, okay, you're just like, that's what's possible. Holy shit. Like, wow. Right? And it's like, it just opens up a whole different, and if you do it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's like me trying to explain to you what chocolate tastes like. It's like this, it's like that, it's like this, it's like that. And you're like, okay. And then you eat chocolate. I'm like, why the fuck didn't you tell me it tastes like this? I'm like, I was trying to, but I didn't have the words. I can't tell you. So it's like to understand instead of understand, right?
Yeah. So having this understanding, people knowing that, okay, I know how it feels to be an Olympic level athlete, like the experience of it, or I'm going up in that hot air balloon. I have this new perspective. What becomes like different in their day-to-day life? Has it to do with like they're doing like new choices, or are they just like being more relaxed, or is the perspective shift a way to not feel depression anymore? Or so what becomes different in their day-to-day life? What do you hear getting reported back to you?
It's the shift of perspective. It's like not, because there's one thing to, if we go back to the metaphor of chocolate, it's like one thing to understand or try to think your way to an answer, and then to feel like actually taste the chocolate, or to feel something that you had only understood in your head before. Like it's so hard to explain, which is why it's so like sometimes when I ask people to report, they're like blah blah blah, they don't know how to put words on it. I'm like, yeah, I get it, because it's like you can't. How do you put something into words that is? I mean, words are such a limited. It's like a recent invention. Like it's like a thing we use to talk like this, but it's like it can't really. Like, how do you explain love? Like you can explain what love feels like, but it's a shitty representation. Just like I'd do a shitty job of explaining what this feels like. You know what I mean? But it's like the thing that changes is I would say the perspective. Like the perspective. I like to talk in metaphors because it's easier. Like let's say you live let's say you have one of these lamps. You live in a apartment, and there's like a little lamp hanging over your head. It's like one of those clear round lamps. That's like there's only light here, right? Okay, and there's darkness around. and you live in this circle and your whole life. And then you get to middle age and you start asking questions like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, I'm cleaning inside the circle. I'm cleaning it and keeping it nice and tidy, but it still smells like shit. What is the problem? I don't get it. Like, what's the problem? I'm cleaning this where I can see, right? And then you take psychedelics. It's like turning on the lamp, and suddenly the whole, like, you realize you've been in a freaking gym, like a football stadium. Like you've been in, like, what? Okay, and it's like, over there's a dead rat, and over there's some leftover takeover food, and there's a hobo lying there, and there's some shit. Like, no wonder this whole thing smells, right? But you've only been looking in this little limited perspective.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so then some people are like, oh my God, I wish I hadn't seen that. It's like, really? Do you wish you hadn't seen that there was shit there and shit there and shit there? Now you know, now there's a chance, now you can start dealing with it in a proper way. Before you were just like cleaning in that one spot, And you can clean till the cows come home. It doesn't help because you're not looking in the right place. It's like that street lamp. Have you heard that? Like the example of the drunk man looking for his keys. He's looking for, the man crawls around the street late at night under the lamp, under the street light, and somebody walks by and say, what are you doing? I'm looking for my keys. And like, did you drop them here? It's like, no, I dropped them over at the park, but this is where the light is. It's like,
yeah.
it's like that. It's like, okay, so and this is,
I love that metaphor.
And it's like, so that goes back to the garden thing that I talked about before. Like, we think it's there. We think it's in the garden. If I just get the flowers, if I just get the blah, 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 but your house is on fire. How about we take a break. We got to fix the garden. We're going to do all that. We're going to address the issue first. What's the thing where's the itch? What do we need to scratch? Right? And that varies from person to person. And this is like, but because people don't feel seen and heard in their thing, because they've gone to therapists and maybe they don't get to the, you don't get to the root because psychedelics takes you by the hand and leads you to your thing. Nobody else outside of you tells you what to do, it's so empowering. That's what I love about it, because with the right guidance, it can help you find, the actual root, put out the fire.
How many people, or just give and take, know what the root is compared with after they've had a psychedelic experience? The thing they think they know is the root, is it actually the root, or do they often find something else is the actual root cause of their illness or stress or whatever issues they are dealing with?
It's hard to put a percentage on it, but I would say, like, it's more common. I mean, people know maybe what the issue is, like, oh, it's something from my childhood and all this, but they hadn't figured out that this was the way to look at it. It's like you come at it from a different angle and be like, oh, I've always looked from here, but now I'm coming from, okay, so I can look at it this way. And then there's a whole different level of compassion towards yourself, your parents. You start realizing that you've done the best thing you can with your life. You start realizing your parents tried their best. Nobody's out to get you. Like your parents didn't grow up and say, hey, we're going to fuck up Morgan today. This is what we're going to do, right?
Yeah.
It's just that they did their best and then this happened. So, okay, but given the fact that this happened, what do we do? Like, how do we handle this now? Like, okay, so it's the perspective shift, whether it's a balloon or you come from the back door or whatever. It's like you find a new way to approach things, but because before you've approached it from the head with your thinking, right? And you listen to I hear that book. I'm going to take that book and do what he says. Okay. And it's like, I did all that. I was getting so frustrated back in the day because I was like, all these fucking books, like, they say wonderful things. But how am I going to apply it to my life, my situation, like me, And I think that's it helps you find your own answers. I think that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
And I know that's what I like.
And the last question, if someone would want to work with you specifically, how is that? Because I've been working with marketing. How is that customer journey?
From start to finish? Meaning, like, when they contact me and...
Exactly. Yeah. Someone went into your website, they found it on Lifestyle Design Podcast, they contacted you on a form, maybe.
Mm-hmm. No, well, so website. What they do is, like, you fill in a contact me form, like there's a little thing, right?
Yeah.
Then I get a notification. I set up a time where we chat, and I just basically want to find out what's their intention. Like, do you really want to do a transformative process? Like, are you committed? Do you want to? If you want to, and I explain what the process is like, then let's go, right? If you don't, and you think it's too much work, like, okay, then that's fine. But I want to be clear that that's like, it's not just like a quick fix thing that you take to be like, oh, I'm fixed now, because then it's not going to work. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people do wrong. Like, they take it and think that I'm done now, right? But you need to do some work, just like with everything else in life. You get what you put in. So After that initial conversation, I'll say, okay, so do you want to chat? If you're in the same town as me, then we meet up. If not, then we book a Zoom call like this. And for that Zoom call, you fill in a questionnaire, like 25 questions. So I can do some screening. I can see like, what have you tried? Medical history, family history, like there's a bunch of questions, right? It gives me an idea of what to base our conversation, my questions around, right? And then we have a conversation like this, an hour maybe or two, depending on what we get into. And then at that point, if you feel like, yep, this is something I want to do, then we proceed with the process. But at that point, you can still say, nah, it doesn't feel right, right? And then we book the session. And then afterwards, once the session's been done, then we have the integration conversation, which is like, okay, based on what came up, what are you now going to do? What is the masculine part of the process? The feminine part is the actual session where we listen and hear and we just let things come, right? Like just be. And then once we're done with the listening part, then we do, okay, now what the fuck do we do? What are you going to start doing from this moment to make sure that your life is not going to be the same? What are you going to stop doing to make sure that your life is not going to be the same? Who are you going to stop hanging out with? Who are you going to start hanging out with? What conversations do you need to have to move forward? What are you going to do? Don't just push it off. Like, let's do it, right? Because what are you waiting for, right? But we wait, and it's like, and then we die. It's like, just act, And so I think that's the beauty of the process too. It's like a feminine part, which is often missed out. We don't have the listening in. We don't have the safe space to actually go on an exploration and a hike in ourselves, to then be able to find better answers and be like, okay, based on this now, what do I do? We just go straight to the doing part. Go straight into the garden, buy new flowers, buy a bench, fix this. But okay, is it good? No. Okay, wrong bench, wrong flowers. Okay, let's go this. Okay, is it good now? No. Okay, it's like, let's put out the fire first. Let's turn around, ask them better question. So that's the process of, that's the psychedelic therapy process, right? But then there's like more if you want to keep working with me, then there's different packages, obviously, like called Walk With Me.
All right. Awesome. So that gives me a lot of clarity, and it also feels like that the process focus a lot on the safety, and I think that people like really want to feel that. Or maybe I'm just talking for myself at least. If you're going to do something that has had so much stigma around it, even if you've read all the books, you haven't experienced it. You can read about Spain, but it's not like eating a paella on the beach in Marbella.
No, that's exactly the same as like you can read and figure things out with your head, but unless you.
Yeah, it's like cold plunging. I'm a big fan of cold plunging, been cold plunging for, like, you can read about it, all the benefits and how to do it and how to adjust yourself to the cold. But when you're not doing it, you don't get that HD experience of how life actually can feel like.
And that's a great example. That's a great example of like, how would you explain? Like, okay, you can tell me all day about cold plunge. I'm like, okay, thanks, Morgan. I'm going to go cold plunge. And I'm like,
yeah,
what did you tell me? Like,
yeah, exactly.
So it's the whole thing of, it's like experience.
It's the whole thing of experiencing the change, the shift. Amazing. And last question, if people want to find you, try to get on a session with you, where do they go? How do we contact you?
Well, there's a website. It's called 4,000 veckor, like 4,000 weeks in Swedish. Human life.
I'll put it in the show notes.
A human life is 4,000 weeks. An average human life that's why it's called that way. Like seize the moment kind of thing. And then also I'm actually gonna, speaking of taking the plunge, I'm gonna take the plunge and actually get on social media now, on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and it's gonna be called Walk with Jani. So it's just starting out. So it's called Walk with Jani as the channel's name.
All right. So have you set these accounts up?
I have, but I haven't posted anything because I've been resisting my own.
Yeah. So, but just take some psilocybin and go for it.
I think I need to. Yeah.
No, also cool. So I'll put those in the show notes as well. You can contact Jani if you're interested. And this was an amazing talk. And I still didn't get the experience.
No, but it's true. I mean, it's
true. To know how the facilitation is taking part, because I had this period where I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then I listened to Tim Ferriss. He was like, okay, there's so many just like going to two ayahuasca retreats, and now they're a shaman with the hat and the feathers and the drums and everything. And you could like, it could really go bad. So then I got like this warning sign. Okay, now is not the time, because I don't know anybody that I feel safe with doing it. So I've been like postponing this for, yeah, basically like 7 years. But maybe it hasn't been the time, and I don't know if the time will come. And like having the conversation with you, it feels like really interesting. And but it's I love the metaphor, like fixing the garden when the house is burning. And here at home, my wife, she wants to make an altan, but she's doing her work. She's good. She's always developing, but she's good at making things looks nice. I need to clean the studio, by the way.
So, but okay, so but your point that just to it's great that you're listening into your like feeling that it's like because that's the whole thing. It's gonna call you when you're ready. Like if you've been feeling for whatever reason that is not right, then it's not right. Don't listen to all your friends telling you, oh, you should do this, you should do this, or watching some show saying that you should do
Yeah,
it until you feel it's right. Right?
yeah,
Until you feel that
exactly.
thing with, and this is not a thing that men typically or people are really good at listening to. Like, what do I feel? Like, we tend to go
No,
listen to like everybody else says, like, oh, okay, I'll go do it. That's when it can go wrong. So just feel
yeah,
called to it, like exactly what you're doing. Like, just like don't go until you feel ready. So
yeah,
that's great that you're listening, and that's exactly
yeah.
how you should.
Because I know I tried to stress it once because I had the opportunity, but then I was like, okay, if I'm stressed, then I got like this amazing friend telling me, if you're stressing it, it's not the right time.
Exactly,
So just take it easy. So
100%.
yeah, sit tight in the boat and let's wait for the right wind.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yanni, thank you so much for your time, and
Thank you.
let's talk again soon.
Will do.
Awesome.
Take it easy, brother.
Take it easy.